I think we should go ahead if that's okay with everybody.
Yep.
Okay. Any changes to the minutes?
No, well, I wasn't here, so I
I
wouldn't
thought they were
change it.
good. Move to accept the minutes.
Will they be accepted as distributed?
Great. Second? Okay,
All right.
excellent. So on Earth Day, any comments on Earth Day results?
Yeah, I was a little disappointed, I have to say, about Delia, just the way that she didn't keep track of who got what plants and whether, so there was no ability to follow up on anything.
Okay,
They just went out, and I mean, they're quite a bit of value, and
Yeah.
hopefully people planted them, and hopefully they, are caring for them. But I mean, there was very little, contact on that.
okay. So there's no list of who got them. Huh?
I don't think so.
Okay. Oh, that is too bad. Yeah. We put a classified ad in the in the Concord Bridge saying, if you got.
Well, we could do a letter to the editor.
Yeah, for just a little, yeah, even just a little alert, we're trying to track these plants. So where they are, because that'll help us with pollinator pathways a lot.
Oh, that's I hadn't thought about that, but we could, because there's lots of people have gotten different kits as well. I mean, I know, people, I didn't get a kit from, I worked the sale in Lincoln, and I know Bob went to the sale in Lexington. I went to the sale in Wayland.
Yeah. There's one coming up at Sudbury Valley. Hi, Laura.
So that is something that could be interesting.
Yes, I think so. Like I say, I guess sent you guys that picture of the bush honeysuckle this morning that Pam and I found just walking, and it's just down the street, and it's on Jaguar's list, and there it's in full bloom, and it should we should track that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, individual plants in somewhere is it's hard to do.
Well, but the fun thing about this is it's a thicket. It's about, I don't know, 5 by 10 feet of bush honeysuckles of various sizes. A great target for transplants, but we're going to leave them alone. And they're growing in full shade, which I like. Several people have said, is there something I can grow in full shade? Well, this plant is growing in full shade, the one I sent you the picture of. So, and it's just one of the young ones.
Trying to find the picture.
Oh, it's in the email I sent out just today, the reminder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there it is. I didn't see that.
Any other Earth Day comments?
Well, for miserable weather, there was a decent turnout.
Okay. Well, should we move on to, this is a comment Lois brought up, which I think is quite interesting. What have we learned regarding pollinators from our joint activities with the Ag Committee? Any thoughts?
One thing I guess is that some plants need to be pollinated and some don't, and
Yep.
some are self-pollinating and some need bees.
Yep. And from the point of view of our meeting at Colonial Gardens, I was impressed by the fact that he had a greenhouse without pesticides. That I had always thought greenhouses, in Europe, for example, they exempted the neonic ban does not disallow use of neonics in greenhouses. And he said, well, we keep the weeds out of our greenhouse, and he's got that guy, and You know, I looked around after he said that, and I only found one tiny weed that might have been that big in the whole greenhouse growing on the ground. And I'm sure by the next morning it was gone. But that I thought was quite an interesting comment.
Well, it's interesting though, because I think quite likely some of the things that he considers weeds would be good pollinator plants,
Oh, yeah.
no matter where they are.
Yeah. Cool. Well, any other thoughts on our, I've enjoyed them. I've enjoyed both outings, both there and
That was a nice visit at Marshall's.
Yeah. I was sad to hear that all 10 of his hives had died. That surprised me. That's the toughest loss I've ever seen, I think. Although I should say that totally, because there was a really competent beekeeper right near our neighborhood on Garfield Road who lost, she lost something like 8 out of 9 hives in 2015. And that was a surprise because she also had 3 or so hives, I think, up at Barrett's Mill Farm, and 2 of those 3, I think, survived. So that particular winter. But losing all 10, that's tough, man.
That was Ricky lost all 10 of his hives.
Yeah, it was rough.
From the cold or
I don't know. The funny thing was that we asked that Steve asked about that. I don't know. In my own experience, I've not lost hives due to cold snaps. The clusters generally just pull together. And the other thing Rick said that I thought was made me sad in a way. He said he lost them not then, but he lost them in, I think it was January, February. They just sort of petered out. And that's the kind of experience I was having back in 2009, 10, 11, 12, when I finally quit. The bees lost their vigor.
I used to keep bees, we did, and we lost them all one winter when the cows got out one night and knocked the hives all over, and I didn't know it till a couple of days later.
Yeah.
They just froze then. I never went back to it again.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Well, let's see.
question for
Priscilla?
Steve. Steve, do you ever do those tours and things on weekends? Because everything always happens during the week and I can never make anything.
Oh, we haven't planned the next one yet for the Ag Committee. One thing we do, at Vero Farm, we have an annual asparagus tour, which we had a couple Saturdays ago. And later on this season, we'll do probably a couple pick your own corn sessions at 6 a.m. on a weekend morning.
I can make that.
They're very popular.
Nice.
Steve, I had my first strawberries. I know this is off topic, but they were amazing.
Oh, thank you. We were without them for a couple of days because of the weather, but we picked again today. And I think we'll be pretty steady now for a while.
Nice. Okay. Should we move on to new business?
Sure.
And this, I'm keying a little bit off of Lois. Lois can't make it tonight, unfortunately. You know, and she sent out an email to us with a whole bunch of ideas, thought starters, I guess, and I've attached those to the agenda. One thought I had for June is that June is Pollinator Month, and that it might be nice to do something relative to that. Any thoughts?
Um, I think, I mean, I'm sort of in the weeds of trying to, see what can get planted and what can, get things up and running. I don't have water at Harrington yet, so I can't plant. I don't know what's sprouted there, reseeded itself. My own seedlings are slow in coming in, but they're coming in now. So they're ready for transplant. But we certainly, could offer like an open house, at a couple places. I don't know whether Kirk Kinder would be up for, or just even doing a letter again. I assume letters to the editor are better than articles, but just saying, it's pollinator week or month or whatever, and the boat launch, Harrington, Barrett's Mill, trail area. He's planted a lot of pollinators on top of his knotweed removal. And I'm trying to, and then invite people to contact us if they have a pollinator plot.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Well, then there's a,
Did anybody read Lissa Winstanley's article on letting her backyard go into a meadow?
It was outstanding.
yeah, it was very good.
Standing
Yeah.
so well.
Oh,
it was really
and-
well.
Laura and Priscilla, you can unmute. Can you unmute yourselves? Feel
Sure.
free,
Yeah,
And-
I missed the Winstanley article. Was that in the Bridge or where was that?
Yeah.
It was in the Bridge, yeah.
Recently?
Maybe a month ago.
A month ago. Okay.
I'm
That's
sure
great.
Yeah,
you.
it was-
A couple.
It was relative
yeah.
to No May, wasn't it? Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Bridge is a great way to communicate this stuff, either articles or letters to the editor. So I think that sounds great what Isabel was saying in terms of listing all the key places people could go visit and add to it. And somehow we have a big pollinator pathway information bank of where all these places are.
And we could easily do like a pop-up at Fowler. Isabel, I know I had said like I would make sure I have my signage up at the display garden in the back, and I have seedlings that are ready to be transplanted too. And I talked to Dory this morning, and we've extended the pollinator garden so we could paint more bricks. We were thinking like that we all did last fall. We could have people do that during National Pollinator Week. We talked about like maybe a QR code linking to information about the specific plant. So anyway, so we can put Fowler on the list of gardens to visit,
Great.
and maybe write CCHS too. And
Yes.
Yeah,
So
we've got
Yes,
QR codes
those-
too. Yep.
Yeah, I had, you have QR cards?
QR codes, we have them posted on our signage. So we have QR codes saying what the plants are and what more about why native plants are so important. So we kind of have two QR codes for that.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'll have to go see that.
Sure.
yeah,
So we
I
have,
copied them. I could send them to you because they were so good. I have links.
oh, okay.
That would be
great.
terrific. Yeah, I'd be very interested. I think send it to us all. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Where's,
let's,
I have a stupid question. Where are the pollinator gardens at CCHS? Is it on what I would call the front, like on the BD side, or on the back side?
Yeah, it's the front. It's the BD side. It's directly across from the tennis courts, if you know where those are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So look-
So on an embankment, we actually have a lot of signs. So if you look directly across from the tennis courts, you'll see the sign saying CCHS Pollinator Garden.
Cool.
Yeah.
so I've listed high school, Fowler, Harrington, boat launch, Barrett's Mill, trail. Any others that people can think of? Sorry, it's getting dark.
How about that? I don't know the name of it. The one that's off Conant Street. Does that have a particular name? That little one?
Conant Street.
Going into the conservation land there.
I don't think
Oh,
there's a
it's-
pollinator garden there.
He
at
may,
Conant.
he may have
It's
planted that.
native
That's the
plants.
Concord Park.
Yeah, Concord Park.
Okay, I'll ask Kurt. That's Kurt's property, so I'll
Okay.
ask. If he's, because he also has a little non-pollinator garden on Bruce Friedman Trail.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll ask him. Good, I didn't realize there might be one there.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, it may not be all native, but I could have sworn I saw penstemon and some other things.
Yeah, no,
Nice.
he's a convert.
Yes.
He's really worked at getting invasives out, and I think that's the other part we might want to emphasize.
Right.
I think we'll have one pretty soon. We had the milk cartons out with the things coming, and they were coming along pretty good, and they got pruned a little early with a tractor mower.
Oh,
But they're recovering, and
Oh,
I think
good.
we'll
Okay.
fine eventually.
that's
I
great.
dropped off a lot of seeds for Jen. I never heard back from her about
Yeah.
it.
No, they germinated well, and they'll be transplanted soon.
Oh, that's
Oh.
awesome. I love the children's play garden at Verrill. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
Nice, very nice. So should we list Vero?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think the garden will be in there, or is it?
Yeah, no, it will.
Okay, all righty. Yeah, the more, the more that people, I'll call it a self-tour.
Yeah.
I haven't looked recently, but we've got a little one at the Cousins Field community garden too.
That one's hard to find, though. The one in the very back corner?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe with better signage or something, people could find that.
Yeah.
Of course, we don't want to encourage too many people to come to the gardens in case they decide to go browsing, but
True.
those are private gardens.
Okay, so maybe keep that off the tour.
Yeah.
But that's cool, because yeah, we go over there just to walk around sometimes.
Yeah, it's in the back. If you go down the main corridor,
it's next to the,
to the right of the raspberries
Okay.
on the right.
I'm a little disappointed that only native plants are being considered. Last year with this coming up, we started a lot of butterfly plants, and we did sell them out, but I gave one to a neighbor who had just lost her father, and bereavement thing, something they could plant in the yard. And she came to look at it, and it was about this time of year, I think. And she said, "Does it really attract butterflies?" And I took it out and put it on the ground. And as soon as I did that, a monarch butterfly came and lighted on it.
yeah,
It was
it does
Kind of
provide,
an amazing experience.
yeah, that's very, very dear when that happens. It provides nectar, but it doesn't provide any of the nutrients that the insects need is the problem. So that's why we emphasize the natives, because they have the full nutrition. I don't know, anybody else have a better answer to that?
Yeah, I just think it's like environmental adaptation over hundreds and thousands of years that the insects and the native plants have co-evolved. So the native plants are better in terms of attracting lots of biodiversity. The cultivars, like the butterfly plant, will definitely attract nectaring, like Isabel said, but probably won't increase biodiversity at the same level. It won't amplify it the way native plants will.
I do have to admit, I planted zinnias because they do provide a
Yeah.
lot of texture to all of the plants, and they do add to my garden. So it's not like I shouldn't be preachy.
Me too. I mean, same thing. Sunflowers, zinnias, all the works.
And I don't know whether it's only the native sunflowers or if all sunflowers, but their pollen actually provides health to the bees because it increases their pooping, which so the disease, leaves them. An interesting, again, a sideway, I apologize. I did a Rose Kennedy garden tour, a Greenway garden tour,
Oh,
and Roxbury has planted over the years has been planting sunflowers in vacant lots and vacant places. So this year the Greenway is planting enormous beds of densely planted sunflowers all the way along the Greenway. I mean, huge beds, the size bigger than a double bed, maybe 2 double beds throughout, big patches. They had it covered with Remy cloth so the bunnies wouldn't eat it, but they were just about ready to take it off. And I guess they're counting on the bunnies to do the thinning.
That's great.
So that'll be something to look at, but sunflowers do provide a good bit.
That's cool.
how was the garden experience there generally?
My,
Rose?
yeah, you're talking to somebody who likes natives, and the tour person was excellent. She gave a great introduction, but it seemed it was interesting to see enormous trees. I mean, the growth is really great, and they do have problems having enough volunteers. The head horticulturist complained about the young people wanting natives and wanting understory growth and things. So that sort of put me off. They had just one place where she let them plant the the ground cover. And she sort of, said, oh, well, you can see it hasn't been weeded. They haven't taken care of it and that. But when you went up and looked at it, they had a patch of native grasses that they had planted in a very geometric pattern. And it really was so attractive. And we had just passed an area where she couldn't get anything to grow. And I said, well, you might try this grass there, So for me, it was great to be in the city, and it was great to do it with friends. But and we ate they have food trucks in the middle, so that was interesting. So we could have lunch. So it is worth doing. But she's pulling the milkweed everywhere, and she's definitely just not into a native experience.
That's too bad. That's interesting that other people haven't maybe talked with her about that. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, people are trying to, and she hasn't heard it, but they are planting oaks. So that was good.
Good.
Wow.
Okay, so
Going back to Isabel's idea of writing a letter to the editor for the bridge, who wants to volunteer to do that?
I'm a very poor writer. I can just tell you that. I've been told that throughout my career. So I'm happy to consult with somebody and work on it with someone, but I'm not a good writer.
I'm happy to co-write it with somebody if somebody else wants to help.
Yeah, I can edit, but I just am so slammed at work. I can't
Okay.
actually lead anything.
Sure.
And are we just going to share resources and the gardens that people, and welcome people to visit them, and right?
Maybe about National Pollinator Month.
Yeah.
something like that.
Okay. And then we had talked about, maybe encouraging people to register their
Yeah.
gardens in a pollinator pathway. So just ask them. I just wish there was an easier way to ask them to connect with us so that, you know, we could tell them to watch out for programs this fall, or
Mhm.
I don't know how to say, you know, just how to get the word out when we finally do have maybe a meeting about a pathway.
I wonder, maybe would our website be helpful for that?
Well, if the website works, I mean, have you gotten it straight as to how people can contact us?
No, I don't, they.
I don't think
nothing
it's
ever
straight
got-
yet. Yeah,
Nothing ever got done on it.
I
So,
haven't received an email from them in a long time on that website. They're an eighth grader, I guess. Did I tell you guys about the eighth grader that emailed me?
you told me.
Yeah, that's right. I told you guys about, well. So I think those emails get forwarded to me. We've had one in the last 6 months. And then I tried to reply, and it was that was interesting, but we worked that out. And the eighth grader did get the information they needed finally.
Isabel, when you were collecting people's names and email addresses at the Ag Day last year, what
I
Well,
tried.
were
email
you doing
people.
with them?
I
Where are
emailed-
they going?
I emailed people, no one responded, and a couple were rejected. So it just didn't work. It's been suggested if we go through a non town committee avenue in the future, having a separate email address that we can then, you know, share the password and check that people can contact us, but I don't know that we're there yet. I think close to, you know, sort of deciding how to move forward with, you know, creating more connectedness, but I don't think we're ready, because you can't do that as a town committee. You have to go through the town, I'm sure.
So we could tell people to just stay tuned for further updates in the bridge for events, or to visit the library, and they can have my Google document of way too many resources. But
Yeah, the library has a good events calendar.
yeah. And like, you know, we just sent an update for people with transplanting directions. So we can try to reach out to those groups, but the library would like to have a sustainability newsletter, but we don't quite have the bandwidth yet. But I wonder if Eric Sims or the director of sustainability for Concord will have a calendar or an email list, and when there's events like this, we could get on there so people could sign up.
I think that
So-
sounds great. I think ultimately that would be a good way to go, but maybe meanwhile depend upon the library to advertise events.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're happy to, and people can always write to the Fowler email, or so we could advertise that in the letter to the editor. Stop by and
Sure.
get more information.
Yeah.
I
And
think
is it okay to make it just Fowler, or do we have to do the whole library?
I think it's probably safer to do the Fowler email since we've been gathering them all. I should check with Dory though. What works?
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so Laura and Patricia, you're okay with taking the lead on this? I mean, I'm happy to help, but I don't think it needs to be long.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be long. I mean, I've written a few articles for the bridge, and I think the articles can be bigger, but I think the letters to the editor are limited and there's a word count. So I don't think it's that hard, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to do it, maybe show it to Laura.
Yeah, and just have
Isabel, everyone
garden.
edit, yeah, before it gets
That's
sent.
So it's Priscilla.
Priscilla, yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
You can't tell from her address, so that's
No.
this one.
Yeah,
Priscilla is the sustainability faculty for the schools.
yeah, which is very, very varied in what we do, but the high school kids love the pollinator garden, so that means a lot to them. So it's fun to be involved with the town. And
Nice.
they definitely love doing all the wonderful things with Isabel and Laura. So it's been a great opportunity for us.
Oh, they were terrific all year. Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, welcome, Amy. I just happened to notice that you've joined our meeting. And you can unmute yourself if you want. Yeah. Oh, you did. Good.
Hi,
Oh.
thank you.
Great. Thank you for coming.
so we were just talking about sending a letter to the bridge about Pollinator Week and different, the list of pollinator gardens in town that people could self-tour. And Priscilla Guiney has offered to write it. And Laura and I will, just skim it. So I think we're good.
And when is the week exactly? Those dates?
It's the
Okay,
third.
so I can look it up.
Yeah, it's the
This is
third week, and I can forward you something that,
Okay.
the pollinator pathway sent out. Actually, some nice kits for kids. I'm looking for
Nice.
bees and butterflies too, so sometimes.
Great.
Awesome.
But I believe it's the third week.
Okay, awesome.
Oh,
That's
okay.
great. That will give me time because I know I can get it done this weekend, but I know their deadlines are quite strong. Like, if you don't meet
Okay.
it, then it's kicked to the curb for a little while. So that's great.
And Priscilla, if they would do like a short article, we could have a picture of the CCHS pollinator garden or something and just,
Sure.
I don't know if we would, but.
And the
would
beautiful
be
mural
cool.
at the Fowler and your garden too. There's plenty good
Yeah.
photo ops. So
Exactly.
yes,
Yeah.
so no, I'm happy to do an article. I'm happy to do a letter. However we want to do it is good.
Or
Oh,
whatever
that's
you,
awesome. Thank you.
whatever you think they would, be willing to print.
Yeah, I'll
Exactly.
ask them. I'll just say, which one do you have space for? Because we really want to target this for that third week of June. And they are good that way. They're responsive.
I
Yes.
have never had them respond, so I'm glad to hear that they're responsive.
Maybe they like pictures of youth. So they're good with that. When they get
Yeah.
high school kids or younger, they like this.
Well, and I think that has a lot of value to it too.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah,
June 19th to 25th.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Super. So what's next on the agenda? I don't have it in front of me.
Let's see. Well, goals for June and the coming year was on the agenda. And then I think that probably really wants to refer down to that checklist that Lois sent out, which I think is quite interesting. That's on the bottom of our agenda. Any comments on that? Particular ones that we might want to focus on, for example?
Okay, got to look at that. I'm on my phone for that.
Oh, nuts. Yep. Well, one thing I thought was kind of interesting that I've bumped into just in reading about the research I've been doing on neonicotinoids. They're water soluble, and there's a lot of discussion about the cross effects of neonics with glyphosate and even the surfactant, as she pointed out there, that these things kind of synergize to cause problems for pollinators. So that, if you just get one, it has one effect, but if you get two together, you get a bunch of other effects and an increase in toxicity. That's a very technical field. It might be difficult for us to approach that one at the outset, but that's just one that I happen to notice that she had in there. I like the pollinator pathways idea a lot. I think Lincoln's doing it. I think if we really got into it, and I know Isabel, you've expressed interest in that, I think we could really dovetail with Lincoln. And I think that just makes the pathways longer, which is always a good.
I think, I don't know how much you know, or maybe you know something different than I do about Lincoln, but when they sell a pollinator kit, they give people a sign that says pollinator pathway. So it's simply that they've given them a sign. And I don't know that they, outside of the town pollinator plots, I don't know that they really kept track of or mark out where the pollinator kits go.
I think they did. I think if you go online to they have an online copy of their report.
Mhm.
You look through that and there's, at least I recall seeing a map showing where some of the people have planted their plants. And I think this is on private land. So I think it did, I do think they did track that.
Well, you know what, I can check with Bryn and see.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Would-
double
would-
check me on that, yeah.
Would they have put their gardens on the Bumblebee project, the Sudbury Valley trustee map that just came out too, maybe?
Boy, that's a good question. I don't
'Cause
think,
I put Fowler's on there.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually added ours too. CCHS is on there as well. And I think
Okay.
Isabel, yours is on there, because I think there's one.
Okay,
Is yours on there too, Isabel?
Yeah,
okay. But that's a good question. I don't know that the.
well, I have my own personal, I don't know that I did Harrington. Yeah, I'm not sure I did Harrington, because I'm still developing the plants there, and I didn't know what survived the winter. Certainly the Zizia did, and I don't know, there wasn't anything else in bloom.
Mhm.
Yeah, even my violets that bloomed in the fall weren't blooming yet. But I'll check with Bryn about pollinated pathway and whether they're on the SVT map, and also whether, you know, how she maps it.
I think one thing I've got to do is, back when the library, remember the library, you had that meeting with Dr. Jaguar, was it in March? And for that, I clipped a bunch of Salix discolor, pussy willow, and brought it to the meeting and gave away pieces of pussy willow. And of course, I had some more just stuffed in a vase at home. And all of that's leafing out now, and it's got roots. And I put one in an this stuff really wants to grow, I guess what I'm saying.
Mark, bring us some to Fowler. We would like
Oh.
some.
Okay, it wants wet. I'll say that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but if they have a wet site, okay, I'll definitely bring some over.
No, but that's great.
Okay.
So
Does anybody have any access to somewhere along the Assabet down in West Concord? Like off Cousins Field where we might try? I don't know if there's any pussy willow growing there, but
That all has to be checked with Delia. You can't plant in conservation land or in wetlands without checking with Delia.
some of the
Well-
neighbors of Cousins have put in some native plants. I haven't walked through there recently, so I don't know what's happening with that.
Okay.
I'm
But
just thinking
the
if we've
whole
got
section- There's a whole section there along Cousins Field where people were trying to put in more native plants.
They said there's a pollinator plot there, not the one I don't think it's the one in the garden, community gardens. I think it's.
Well,
in
there's a section between the fields and the river that's sort of wild, and tons of garlic mustard that people have been trying to remove. And I think that's where they put in some wildflowers, but I'm not positive.
Oh,
Yeah,
I know a little bit about that. So there is a section in Cousins that was supposed to be planted with pollinators, and they were planted, but then the person who was kind of leading that project, she got discouraged because the dogs ran all over it and maybe ate some of the plants and other stuff. And so she said that she wasn't going to do anything else, and she was going to let Will lead the project
Oh.
there.
Interesting. Okay, I'll talk to Will about that.
Right.
I did not know that.
Hmm.
Huh, nobody has mentioned that.
Right. So she hasn't worked on it for a couple years.
Yeah.
And when I
I
asked
think
about
so.
it last year, that's what she told me.
Good detective work. Thank you. Yeah.
Isabel, let me know how bad the garlic mustard is down there, or did they get it all?
Oh, well,
Again, I haven't walked through recently, but our dog is old now, so we cover much less ground on our walks.
Well, I worked with Peter Alden and sent 60 kids out doing garlic mustard pulling on the David Prifty Day of Service, which was some Friday recently.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that would have been a week
Oh,
ago.
it was the 26th. Yeah, it was a beautiful day, and a bunch of them went down to Cousins Field, but I never got a chance to go around all locations and see how it looked. But they got 50 bags of garlic mustard, so
That's
got it
awesome.
from somewhere.
That's
Good.
awesome.
Yeah.
So Janet, I've been to Cousins recently, like yesterday, and there is actually a lot of garlic mustard there.
Still,
Well, it's just so invasive. I mean, I can't even imagine how we would get it all. It seems
Wow.
like it's just kind of daunting. It's a lot.
well, is there poison ivy there?
Well, unfortunately, yes, that too.
Okay, because I can't send people in with poison ivy, but my
Right.
strategy for dealing with it is nibble around the edges, especially downwind or downhill, I guess, so it doesn't spread. And then if you're really just stuck, you can cut it and drop it in place because at least it won't blow.
Right.
That's how I've managed it in places where you can't otherwise deal with it.
so I'll ask Will about it. I know that he was willing at the Barrett's Mill Farm pollinator plot. They were willing to treat the poison ivy for me because I'm super allergic to it now. And maybe they would treat it. So
That's an interesting question. In areas where you want to be growing pollinator gardens, would the town have some way, either they or allow us to deal with poison ivy? Because otherwise it's growing so rapidly and vigorously. I'm just thinking it's going to take over and people don't want to get into that.
well, I know. I mean, they did last year. They did treat a good bit of the, as I said, the farm pollinator plot for me.
With a poison ivy?
Yeah, they'd use the vinegar, soap, and salt or
Salt.
something.
It's a gallon of vinegar, a cup of salt, and a tablespoon of dish detergent, and you put it in a sprayer.
I don't know if they used, I don't think they used that recipe. I think they used a different one, but anyway.
Well, let me know what the recipe is if you find out. I'm kind of tired of poison ivy.
Okay, so I'll check with Will about Cousins.
So getting back to the agenda item of goals for June and beyond, it seems like with June being pollinator month and getting a little blurb into the paper, that would sort of be a good goal for June that we can put down. And then I think mapping out pollinator pathways is certainly a longer term project that we could get behind somehow.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, that might be a good one to launch at Concord Ag Day, like offering those signs if the town agrees to it, helping establish a pollinator pathway.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think when we talked about the signs before, we had some problems because we have zero budget, and so and then there was a question of how we would be able to actually get some money to buy signs to give to people. And I don't think we ever resolved that because basically we have a we have zero resources.
Okay. Are you allowed to get donations? I wonder if people would be willing to donate towards just the pollinator pathway signage. I don't know if town groups are
Well,
allowed to do that.
Probably
in a way,
not, but I don't know.
well, we did get one situation when our committee was young and Harrington Park was starting, where the Concord Garden Club gave us $250, which we deposited with the Division of Natural Resources for use for developing a pollinator garden at Harrington Park. And that seemed to fly okay. We can't hold the money, but Delia was more than willing to do that for us. And Isabel, you've probably been able to withdraw some of that, maybe, or not, but it's still
Haven't tried, but she, I mean, I've talked to Delia about signage. She wants something that is not plastic, that is natural, that is metal. And when I looked into signs like that, we're talking about $25 a piece or more. And I've just sort of gone round and round on that. And I think, I mean, we could, I imagine if we were willing as a town committee, I mean, what Delia has said, that she couldn't sell the pollinator kits because of the finance issues with the town. I mean, you know, there's just like, there's a lot of restrictions.
Does this is sort of a random question for Priscilla. Does CCHS have a shop class, or is that all at like Minuteman? I mean, could we ask one of the local high schools to make us little
Yeah, I mean, I
metal
have
pollinator things?
I have two ideas along those lines, knowing that Delia is anti-plastic, which I totally get, I totally understand. It makes me think one of the high school, and unfortunately, I think they head towards 3D plastic makers, so that doesn't fit that. But I'm thinking, I heard that the library's makerspace is going to offer things like beeswax, cloth. So I wonder if we could make it seems a little far-fetched, but some sort of cloth sign and then cover with beeswax and do that. But I think there might be some interesting creative ways around this, and just talking with maybe the makerspace woman, who I think is going to open up her shop at the Concord Main Library in, Laura, would you say in about 3 weeks?
Even sooner than that. I think there's a soft launch on the 10th of June.
Okay,
and I know
think you might be able to help us out, actually.
We had tried to get a grant for signs from the garden club, but they only would do plants. And I know at that point we had like kind of talked to Billy Crosby about a different sign, but Isabel, isn't that pollinator pathway sign metal, that little medallion, $10?
Yep.
Would that be okay with Delia, or?
Yeah, but you get it through, oh, I see, order a whole bunch from them.
Yeah, because that seems so cost effective if we are gonna, if that is the model we're gonna use for a pathway.
Is
Yeah,
that plastic though?
No,
no,
it's metal. We had some at the winter sew workshop.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's about 6 inches in diameter, round with a butterfly on it.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
That way.
But who sells those, or who has them?
The Connecticut Pollinator Pathways
Oh,
group.
right.
So I felt like when we did all that research looking at signs, that ended up not being it, and you can put it on a wooden stake, or right, or yeah.
Nice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've actually put it on one of those metal, you know, garden stakes.
Right.
I haven't put it in my yard yet because I'm waiting for my kit from SVT to make a pollinator garden right in the front of my yard. But maybe I'll just put it out and then move it. I don't know.
That sounds great. If there's already one established.
Yeah, I feel like,
Good.
because we kind of tried to look at different options like that, like making them, but I felt like it, especially if we end up going that way with the pathway. And I know we had talked about, for Climate Prep Week is the last week in September, and we had a bunch of pollinator activities then. And we had thought Renee Cunningham had mentioned, you know, showing a new Doug Tallamy Homegrown National Park video that's maybe about 45 minutes in length. So not, you know, it would allow time for maybe a panel discussion, you know, someone who's got a pollinator garden going already in Concord, maybe someone, you know, one of you all, you know, a couple of people just to talk, and then try to invite more people to get involved in creating this pathway. And I don't know if that climate prep week would be a good week or another time like Ag Day, but just that would be an opportunity like we did last year to invite people.
Yeah, the climate prep week sounds great because it probably gives a chance for more discussion, whereas the Ag Day is a fun day.
Yeah. And at Ag Day, we could plant the seed and say, come to the, have the flyers ready and come to the, whatever we decide to do, in September. And I know, anyway.
Yeah. I talked today with a woman who coordinates the Connecticut pollinator pathway. Somebody had written to her saying she was looking for something in Concord and couldn't find anything in Concord. So she reached out to me and she said she'd be willing to come and talk with a group to explain their program and how to get started as a independent from the town committee. So that's something that we could pursue and not dissolve the town committee, but develop a citizen group that then feeds into it.
Yeah.
And we could, and the other thing that I've been working on, I haven't been working on it, I can't say that. Janet Anderson has encouraged is to perhaps have a native plant sale in the fall, instead of with the West Concord Green Thumbs, instead of doing, or in addition to their bulb sale. And so I did ask Bagley Farms if they had plants in the fall, and they said, yes, they do.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But the other is Wayland Garden Club bought plugs and transplanted them into pots and then sold them for, like $4, $5, so that, there was a plethora of native plants. So we could, with Climate Prep Week, then follow it up in the first week in October with a plant sale and maybe a planting.
Yeah. That would be
Yeah.
great. Is there going to be a garden going in like at the housing authority or anything that, or?
I'm working on trying to get the not the housing authority near me at Buckley, but the housing, the affordable housing out on Bedford Road, right at the merging of those two Bedford streets. One of the residents has asked Jean Milburn, and Jean asked me to help with putting in a demonstration pollinator plot there. And so I've been going from town department to town department to find the original landscape, because the original landscape was for rain gardens, and they had planted rain gardens and much survived. So we want to get a handle on what has been there and sort of how it was managed. But I did learn from the housing authority that the residents there are responsible for the plantings. So we could, and I think it may be a fall planting out on Bedford Road. Certainly at the rate I'm going, it's going to be in the fall, I can tell you. And you don't really want to put, we've got to, I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah. It takes some preparation. Yeah.
Yeah, I think from my discussion with the housing authority director, she's pretty overwhelmed with the new housing going in at Assabet, and just all of the legalese stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
I know Lois would like to do a pollinator plot there. And I know three people. I know two people who are doing native plants at Everett Gardens, but one is putting it in their community garden perennial strip.
Well, this is good. I think we're approaching 8 o'clock, which is normally is this a good time to wrap up, folks, do you think? Or is there anything else we need to consider? Oh, there's Lois. Hi, Lois.
You're muted.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm losing steam here, so I wouldn't mind, even though
Yeah.
Lois just joined, I wouldn't mind adjourning.
yeah. We're
Yes,
gonna,
Could
Christina,
we, sorry, could we find out if we can fundraise or talk, or if we'd be allowed to get some of those signs for the pathway, if there is,
okay,
yeah, I don't, it just, if we could accept donations or something where we could keep that money and then get some signs.
okay. I'll look into that. 'Cause
Yeah, Mark, did we get a new liaison from the select board?
we did. I can't remember the person's name, but I'll find out.
So can you follow up with that person, Mark?
Yes,
And
I will. And actually, since we are a town committee, we can go whine and put an article. I'm sure we could put an article on the warrant saying we want some money. But that's so
That's a
long
year
from
out.
now.
That's a
Pardon?
year out, yeah.
Yeah, that's a year out. And I think one thing I'm curious, I will definitely follow up on the idea of signage and I'll let everybody know who our new liaison is. I did see a name, but it didn't register. Not that, just, I have a hard time remembering my own name. Well, thank you so much. So we should, Lois I'm glad you were able to make it, but we're folding, and you can always look at the recording of this meeting at the town website.
so the last thing is, next meeting is on July 3rd. I'm
No,
traveling today.
Oh, I was gonna say, why don't we postpone it a week from there to the July 10th, I think it is, because the 3rd is right between the 4th and Sunday. I mean,
Yeah, Mark, I think you already
Yeah,
your
Agenda.
sent the agenda.
yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. I did put it on the agenda that maybe July 10th would be our next meeting, but I didn't bother to say to you guys, that's not the first Monday,
Okay,
Do you want to also plan for August 7th?
Yeah, normally we do that. Yeah, that would be the normal one.
And then for September, the 4th is, oh, I guess the 4th is actually Labor Day, isn't it?
Okay, yeah, so we'll do the 11th in September,
Okay,
because no point in meeting on Labor Day. We work hard enough without having to do this too, right?
well, then if we're gonna meet on the 10th, then we have to, in August, plan the ag.
Yes,
So
Yeah.
in July, we should actually plan the ag day,
yes,
and the
yeah,
prep be done in August.
good, okay.
What day is the Ag Day? I know it's usually early in September.
It's the 9th of,
Okay, thank you.
I'm pretty sure, let me double check.
yeah,
that's
I've
good.
got it as Saturday the 9th.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent.
First
Thank you.
Saturday after Labor Day.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
Thank
that's
you, Ag
perfect.
Committee.
Yes, thank you all.
Yeah.
Anybody want to adjourn?
I'll adjourn.
Okay,
Move to adjourn.
anybody second it?
Second.
Yay. Nice to see
Good
you all.
night.
Thanks for coming.